Fatiha. Selamünaleyküm. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ve salatu ve selamu ala Resulina Muhammeden seyyidil evvelin ve ahirin. Meded ya Resulullah, meded ya Sadat, ashabi Resulullah, meded ya Şeyh'in destur ve ala inşallah fazla hasan Muhammeden Hakkani ve tarikatuna as-suhba ve'l khayr fi'l cem'iyye. İnnemâ bismillahirrahmanirrahim. İnnemâ amalku evlâdu fitne. Sadakallahul azim. Allah Azze ve Celle diyor, mallarınız, mülkünüz, çocuklarınız size imtihandır.
Allah Almighty says that your property, your possessions, and your children are a test for you.
Bu imtihan, onları düzgün kullanacaksınız, yani düzgün yetiştireceksiniz ki
You must use your properties, your belongings in a good way, and you must also raise your children in a good way.
Hem Allah katında makbul insanlar olur.
You must raise them in a way so that they become those who are accepted in the divine presence.
Hem size de faydası olur.
And as they become accepted in the divine presence, your children, they will also be benefiting you.
İnsanlar çocuklarını çok sever tabii insanlar da.
People of course love their children.
Sevmekten onları terbiye etmek başka.
However, one needs to know that loving one's children is something, and also raising and educating one's children is something.
Bazı insan sevdiği ne yaparsa çocuk onu haklı ya kabul eder, hiçbir şey söylemez.
To love one's child does not mean to not educate it. It does not mean to not discipline it. People mix up the love for one's children with not disciplining them.
Ama biraz terbiye edip de, çünkü herkes nefsi var.
It is out of one's love for one's child that one also must educate, must teach that child discipline, because everyone has an ego.
Nasıl yetiştirirsen öyle büyür.
And a child needs to learn how to deal with his ego, because the way your child is educated, the way your child is raised, the way it will grow, and the way it will continue his life.
Öyle çıkar, öyle iyi insan olur. Kötü bakmasan başkası sana yetiştirir, o da.
If you raise your children, if you educate them, if you give them discipline, then they will become good people. However, if you do not educate them, if you do not raise them, then you must know that there will be someone else who will be educating your children on your behalf in a bad manner.
Kötü olarak yetişir.
And then those others will raise your children to be a bad person.
Nasıl yetiştireceğiz? Allah Azze ve Celle'nin, Peygamber Efendimizin sevgisiyle, muhabbetiyle.
How should we educate our children? We should raise our children with a love for Allah Almighty, with a love for the beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and with a love to fulfill the orders of Allah Almighty.
Onların emirlerini yerine getirmek için şey yapacaksınız.
We must raise and discipline our children to fulfill the orders of Allah Almighty and follow the way of the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Çocukları, Peygamber Efendimiz sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem 7 yaşından sonra çocukları namaza öğretin.
After the age of 7, our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, recommends us to teach our children to pray.
Tabii daha küçük olunca da 1-2 yaşında bakarsa ailesi namaz kılıyor. Onlara.
Of course, we should also already start encouraging them to pray, even with an earlier age. Even when they are 1 or 2 and they will see what's happening around them, they will see that their parents pray.
Tabii olur, onları gibi yapmaya uğraşır.
And as they see what their parents do, they will try to imitate their parents and follow them.
Çocuklar ta ki onlar 7 yaşına kadar zaten çocuklarının akıl bali olmadıktan sonra günahları yok sayılır Allah.
Children, until they reach the age of maturity, until they are mentally sound and mature, they will not be held responsible. They are in a state of innocence and purity.
İndinde günahsızdırlar onlar.
Children are, until they reach the age of maturity, they are without any sin.
Masum çocuklardı. Ama onlara işte yavaş yavaş dini öğretmek lazım diyor.
But we must teach our children slowly the requirements of the religion.
7 yaşında namaz kıl diyeceksin kendisine.
With the age of 7, our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, recommends us to encourage and tell our children to perform their prayers.
10 yaşından sonra da daha sıkı takip edeceksin, namazını kılsın.
And with the age of 10, we must be even more stricter in encouraging the children to perform their prayers.
Yapsın. Ve Ramazan ayındayız, mübarek Ramazan ayındayız.
We now are in the blessed month, the holy month of Ramadan.
Oruç içinde siz oruç tutarken onlar da biz de tutalım der.
And likewise, we must encourage them to fast, because your children, they will see you fasting and they will also want to fast.
Çocuklar eskiden yarım gün tutardı.
In former times, there were different ways in order to encourage children to fast. They would, for example, fast half a day.
Bazen arada bir gün tutardı.
Or sometimes, every now and then, they would fast an entire day.
Onları da teşvik etmek lazım.
So we must look for ways in order to encourage our children to fast.
O orucu da sevdirmek lazım.
And we must make them love fasting.
Şimdiki insanlar el bebek, gül bebek derler. Çocuğa hiçbir şey sakın acıkmasın.
But these days, parents treat their children with gloves, with utmost care, with extreme care and extreme delicacy, and they say, our children, they must not be hungry a second.
Hemen yedirelim, hemen şey yapalım.
We must look after their needs immediately.
İçirelim, istediğini verelim.
We must give whatever our child requests.
Emredersiniz efendim.
We are at your service, O my child, parents say to their children.
Kulunuz burada size hizmet ediyor.
We are your servants. We are your slaves serving you, O my child.
Ne yaparız? Böyle bir yetiştiriyorsun. Ondan sonra başına çıkınca
That is how children are raised these days. And then people complain when then their children walk all over them when they are on top of them.
Şaşırıp kalıyor insanlar.
And then they don't know what to do about their children.
Hatta koca akıl bali olduktan sonra bile 14-15 yaşından sonra bile onlara oruç tutmaya kıyamıyorlar.
And parents are so extreme with their utmost care for their children that even when their children reach maturity with the age of 14 and 15 and they are mentally sound, parents still do not let their children fast.
Sakın sonra tutar. Şimdi küçüktür diye.
They still say, "Oh, my child is still young, still a little one. He can fast later."
Halbuki akıl bali olduktan sonra bilerek orucu bozan büyük günaha girmiş olur.
But once you are mature, once you're mentally sound, you have the responsibility to fast. And if you do not fast after having reached that age of maturity, then you are committing a sin.
Oruç, namaz, oruç bırakmak büyük günahlardandır.
To not fast, to not pray is a major sin.
Öyle küçük günahlardan değil, büyük günahlardan.
To not fast, to not pray, it is not a minor sin.
Onların yerine o fazileti koyamazlar.
And parents, they cannot give back to their children what they have deprived them from. They cannot give back the blessings of fasting and praying.
Sen o çocuğunu, kızını burada acıyorsun. Acıma değil, sen ona zulmetmiş oluyorsun.
Parents think that they are merciful with their children by not making them fast or pray, but in fact they are oppressing their children.
O kadar sevabı ondan mahrum ediyorsun.
They are depriving their children from all those blessings of fasting and praying.
O sevaptan mahrum ediyorsun.
You prevent them from receiving those blessings.
Neymiş efendim? Bugün imtihan var.
And for which reason? They say, today my child is going to have an exam at school.
Çocuk tutmasın oruç.
My child should not fast today because he's going to undergo an exam.
Sonra dersini iyi yapamaz.
And if my child fasts, then my child will not be able to attend his class properly, they say.
Yaptığı derste de fayda yok onun.
But there's no blessing in what it learns there.
Zaten bir şey yapsa da hiçbir faydası olmayacak.
And even if he succeeded in what he did, in the end, there will be no blessing in it.
Yapmasa da aynı şekilde.
And there will be no benefit. And if that child didn't do anything, it would be the same. There is no difference.
Bilakis Allah yardım eder oruçlu olan çocuklara, namazında olan çocuklara.
There is no benefit in giving up your duties for Allah Almighty for the sake of these worldly things. On the contrary, Allah Almighty supports those who fulfill His orders.
Allah muhakkak onlara daha fazla yardım eder.
And Allah Almighty will support your children even more when they fulfill their orders.
Onun için şimdiki insanlar terbiye de bilmiyor.
People these days, they do not know how to raise or educate their children.
Aileler terbiye etmesini bilmiyor. Çocuğun eline makineyi veriyor, telefonu veriyor. Sen bundan ders yap.
Parents give their children those machines into their hands, those mobile phones, and tell them use them in order to make your homework.
Çocukta ne derse berbat bir şey çıkıyor. Şeytan dolu her tarafta.
But that is only filled with all kinds of terrible things. Everywhere is shaitan.
Ders yaparken bilmem ne zıkkımlar çıkıyor orada.
While they are supposed to do their homework, while looking at those machines, they are fed with all kinds of different poisons popping up.
İyice kafasını karıştırıyor.
And those things then mess with the children's minds.
Ahlakını bozuyor.
Those poisonous things destroy the good conduct, the good character of the child.
Onun için yani bu din için yaşıyoruz.
We live for the religion.
Çocuklarımıza da din için yaşatırmak lazım.
And we must teach our children that their purpose of life should be their religion.
Bu terbiye İslam terbiyesi üzerine olacak.
And the education we must receive must be based on the principles of Islam.
Sıkmadan etmeden ama bazı yerlerde de sağlam durmak lazım.
Of course, we must not pressure anyone into things and make them get annoyed. However, we must stand firmly in certain matters.
Dediğimiz gibi bu Ramazan ayı mübarektir.
As we said, this holy month of Ramadan is a blessed month.
Çocuklara dediğimiz gibi teşvik edin.
And we must encourage our children.
Oruç tutsun, tutanlardan mani olmayın.
We must encourage our children to fast, and also we must not prevent those who want to fast from fasting.
Bir de en mühim şey, akıl bali olduktan sonra oruç bozarsa onun kefareti var.
And you must know that if somebody, having reached the age of maturity and being mentally sound, if that person does not fast, breaks his fast, that person will need to perform kafara to make up for that fast.
Sırf orucu yerine kaza değil de onun yerine kefaret yapmış, sonra da kazalarını yapması lazım.
So not fasting does not only mean to make up for that single day one has missed, But it requires, before that, a fasting of kafara of 2 months.
Bu çok mühimdir.
This is very important to know.
Çünkü bizim hayatımız, Allah bize hayatımızı ona ibadet etmek için verdi.
Allah Almighty gave us this life so that we may worship Him.
Onu boşuna harcamamak lazım.
We must not waste our lives for nothing.
Allah insanlara akıl versin.
May Allah Almighty give people a mind so that they may think clearly,
Öğrensinler.
so that they may learn.
Ayıp değildir.
There's no shame in learning.
İnsan öğrenin, ilmin sonu yok.
There's no limit in wisdom.
Öğrenmenin sonu yoktur. Her gün yeni bir şey öğrenebiliyor insan.
A person may learn every day.
Onun için dikkat edin.
A person may learn every day something new, so one must be careful.
Ramazan ayı daha başındadır.
We are now yet still at the beginning of the holy month of Ramadan.
Çocuk sevinsin. Şimdi bugünlerde
We must encourage our children and make them be happy in fulfilling the orders of Allah Almighty.
zaten fazla da uzun bir şey değil.
And we should encourage them to fast, because now is a good time where fasting is not that long.
Yapabildiği kadar yapsın.
And we should encourage them to make them fast as much as they can.
Bize küçükken Allah makamı alıyoruz. Hacı satın da alırdı. Eski insanların öyle güzel şeyler de vardı. Her gün için sen orucunu satın alacağım diye.
When we were little ones, our blessed mother, Hajj Anna, may Allah raise her station, elevate her rank, and old people, they had these beautiful traditions, and she would encourage us to fast. And every day, for example, she would say, if you fast today, I'm going to purchase your fasting.
Bir para verirdi gene.
And then she would purchase our fasting and give us some money for our fasting.
Çocuklara da o her türlü teşvik etmek için ne gibi hediyeler.
There are many different ways, various ways in order to encourage children with different ways of giving them a gift.
Şeyler varsa onu da güzel yapıp. Zaten
And there are many beautiful ways to encourage children.
İftar sofrası, sahur filan çocuklar için güzel bir şey oluyor.
And we should encourage our children to celebrate fasting, to celebrate sahur, and to celebrate iftar.
Değişiklik oluyor.
And because it's always special, and we should make it special. We should make sahur special and the iftar special for our children.
O Ramazan'ın bereketiyle İnşallah hayırlı nesiller çıksın.
May, with the blessings of the holy month of Ramadan, may good generations come forth.
Hayırlı, çünkü duyuyoruz, Allah muhafaza etsin. Çocuklarda iman kalmamış.
We hear things about children that they no longer have faith. May Allah Almighty protect them.
Dinden çıkmalar çok.
Or that they leave the religion.
Ama Allah için yapılan şeyler, Allah Azze ve Celle muhakkak onları muhafaza eder. Allah.
And therefore it's important to do things for the sake of Allah Almighty, and Allah Almighty will protect them.
Korusun şeytanların şerrinden.
May Allah Almighty protect them from the evil of the devils.
Kötülerin şerrinden, sapıkların şerrinden.
May Allah Almighty protect them from the evil of those perverts.
Sapık dolmuş. Sapıklığı da
this entire world is filled with perverts.
Güzel bir şey gösteriyor Allah.
And they represent their perversion as something good. May Allah Almighty protect us.
Allah muhafaza etsin. Allah şeytan şerrinden muhafaza etsin.
May Allah Almighty protect us from the evil of shaitan.
Tevfik. El Fatiha.